Welcome back to Raven Sexton's Blackbird Diaries. Tonight, this episode, the third, is from the RealTalk series, and it's about empathy. And the title you'll find on the blog is Being Empathic Doesn't Excuse Being Irresponsible. And as the blog says to begin, let's talk about something that might sting a little. And this one is near and dear to my heart. Empathy is not psychic ability. Empathy is the ability to connect with others. Empaths are sensitive. They can read the room, they can read micro expressions, and they can read the energies and the vibes of others. But one of my biggest pet peeves, and I've heard this for decades in the spiritual community, oh, I am cursed with empathy. No, you're not. It's part of who you are. It's like breathing, it's like vision, it's like hearing. Empathy is a part of who you are as a decent human being. It is the birth of compassion. One of the things that bothers me is when people use the excuse of being empathic to be an absolute flake. It's not a hall pass for poor boundaries or poor behavior, like I said in the blog. It is not an entitlement to opt out of your responsibilities to yourself as well as others. Being overwhelmed means you do not have healthy boundaries. It means you have not learned to ground or chose not to ground, that you're taking on everybody else's stuff. And sometimes it's a codependency, sometimes it's a need to be needed. That's when you work on you to get healthy, to heal. Like I said in the blog, a lot of people in spiritual spaces use empathy as a shield. I just feel everything so deeply. And they use that for so many reasons. To get attention, to be the special one in the room, to be the drama queen, to not hear others, to not respect others' feelings. Because I can guarantee you, especially in a spiritual setting, you are in a room full of empaths, and everybody is carrying their own shit. Everybody brings their gifts, and everybody has empathy, and they can feel the vibe and they can feel yours. Empathy is what gives us the ability to heal others through our words, our action, our compassion, even our silence, to sit with them. But it is a disservice to ourselves to let empathy be an excuse to sponge up everything in the room and then play poor me. Empathy is a strength, but like anything, it requires some training, especially if you're psychic or a medium or a healer. If you are anywhere in the spiritual community, learn to work with your empathy and understand it is not the definition of who you are, it is simply a part of who you are. You're going to feel things deeply. I'm a Pisces, and all I hear is people talk about, oh, you must suffer. Not really, no. No. I get it. I can cry at a commercial with the best of them. Or a good movie. I don't watch chick flicks because, well, I don't like them. But there are films that, yeah, I can totally get lost in. Empathy. That's the whole point. I recognize when people are hurting, but I also recognize when they need me to give them space. We all have the ability to do that when we learn to train ourselves to recognize how to read our empathy, how to build that strength, how to not absorb other people's energy. Because the more you do, the more you lose yourself. I've had many conversations with up and coming healers who still need to work on this for the simple fact it is a need to be needed. They need people to come to them for healing. It doesn't work that way. You're a healer. What's the old phrase? Physician, heal thyself. Best example I ever heard from a young man a few years ago. Healers and givers in general do not empty your cup into others. Fill your cup, and everything that overflows is meant for everyone else. The phrase, my cup runneth over. Let me share my abundance with you. That means you're not drinking from my cup and depleting it. If you do not take care of yourself, you cannot be there for others. You do not fill yourself by draining into others, but you do continue to fill yourself by having compassion and empathy for yourself and helping others, being in service to others. Not servitude, service. I live in abundance and I share my abundance. Not because I have to, not because I'm obligated to, because it's the right thing to do. Healthy boundaries help you understand those who genuinely need it, those who genuinely appreciate it, and those who are just taking and draining. And that's where you close the door. So your empathy relies on you understanding healthy boundaries, understanding how to master your empathy. You're not taking on their stuff, and they're not taking away from you. And the more you tell yourself, oh, it's a curse, or, oh, I just can't. Well, you're kind of right, because you're telling yourself you can't. When you take responsibility and you own it and you say, you know what? I need to be a good person and show that respect for myself. Again, not narcissism. And I talk about this a lot. Self-love and narcissism are two entirely different things. Self-love shows compassion for yourself. Taking care of yourself. You are setting an example. Again, that is that cup running over. You show others, this is how I stand strong. I remain full of empathy for others. But I do not give away the store. I take care of me, and I can help you understand how to take care of you. Let me be there for you, but be there for yourself. Empathy is recognizing how others feel, what they are going through, not feeling it for them. Bottom line. So, as I put in the blog, I'm going to reiterate some of these bullet points. Here's what being a responsible empath looks like. You ground yourself before you engage, even if it's something as simple as a deep breath, an USA, whatever you need to do. You don't make your overwhelm other people's problem. If you are overwhelmed, again, ground yourself, let it go. That's showing empathy for others and self-care. You communicate when you're at capacity. Let people know, I need some downtime. I need that me time. It's not a boo-hoo, poor is me. It is literally simply this is self-care. Here's my boundary. I know I need to stay behind my boundary as well. I'm not going to trauma dump on you. And then you take ownership when you mess up, and that does not mean beat yourself up for it. I mentioned in the past, I've always been very good at that. It's a constant lesson. We all go through it. We all struggle with it. Be kind to yourself. But take ownership when you mess up. If you overstep and you're trying to fix things for someone who really doesn't need you to, say, I'm sorry. I see what you're going through and I really want to help you, but I understand you need to do this for yourself. Be honest. You don't get to tell people, it's just how I am. But you get to say, this is what I'm working on. I get what you're going through because I'm working on myself too. If you're empathic, your job is to lead with compassion, and you start with you. It means learning how to filter what you take on, filter what people have to say. You don't have to respond to everything. You do not need to take on all of their woes. You shouldn't. You simply identify with, I get what you're going through. Or if you are honest, I don't understand, but I'll listen. And sometimes that's all they need. Being empathic, being able to feel other stuff, that's just part of the life. So you learn to deal with it and not buy into it. This is theirs. Do not feel their stuff. Identify with it. Do not take it on. So remember, as you're getting used to this, as you're learning how to work with it, ground and filter. Ground yourself. Spend some time alone. Watch a stupid movie. Go outside. I'm suddenly hearing the phrase all the time, touch grass. Whatever. It's said in a snarky tone. I'm snarky. I get it. But no, go outside. Let the breeze hit you in the face. Whatever you have to do. Ground yourself. Filter what you pick up from others because you can deflect whatever you need to. You have that ability and that responsibility. Communicate. I'm at capacity. I need a moment. You are not obligated to listen to everything. You are not obligated to constantly be that person. You own your reactions. You own your choices. And there is power in that. So like I always say, sit down and do some journaling. Think about this. Think about what I've said. It's a bit of rambling. It's what I do. Listen to it a couple times if you need to. And then sit down and ask yourself some questions and journal. Like I always say, journal, write it down, have that conversation with yourself, sit and talk to the wall and listen to yourself. Ask yourself, where am I using, quote, I feel too much, end quote, to avoid hard conversations? Where do I use, I feel too much, to avoid hard conversation? When do I expect others to hold what I haven't processed? In other words, when do I trauma dump and expect somebody to tell me how to deal with it? When do I just dump it on them instead of dealing with it myself? That is not to say you can't come to your support group, your person or whoever and say, I need to vent, I need to get this off my chest. Will you just listen? I don't need advice. I don't need you to carry it. I just need to say it out loud so I can hear it. That is a good thing. But then ask yourself, do I expect someone else to hold on to this and remember it and coddle me for it? Because you shouldn't. And you'll learn. And then finally ask, what would taking emotional responsibility look like for me? Everybody is different. Now, I am not telling you to suck it up. I am asking you to think about, what does taking emotional responsibility, processing those emotions, recognizing these aren't mine, let them go, versus this is mine, I need to work through it. What does that look like for you? Write it down, brainstorm. If you don't know, Write the question down and come back to it later. When you're in the middle of an emotional moment, sit down and look at your questions and ask yourself, is this empathy or is this just me being emotional? Everybody has emotions. There is nothing wrong with them. Be honest with them. Everybody has them. They're not to be ashamed of. Then ask yourself, how do I process them? So, in closing, being empathic and being accountable are not opposites. Being empathic is simply the beginning of compassion and connection. There is an accountability that comes with it. You can be tender, but still show up fully. Stand in your strength while still being soft. You are responsible for you in all facets, what you give and what you take on. So be kind to yourself. And like I've said with other things, think about the advice that you would give to someone you care about. Because you should be someone you care about too. Thank you for listening. I hope this gave you something to think about. Maybe you enjoyed it. Excuse my creaking chair. I think that made it into the cut. Protect your energy. Own it. Find your power. Live in your faith. And take care of yourself. If you like this episode, feel free to share it. If you have questions or thoughts, please leave a comment, drop me a line. I would love to hear from you. Until next time.